A body shop will charge you $400 to $1,000 to repaint a single panel on your car. That's for one door, one fender. And here's the thing, repainting actually destroys your car's value. The moment a panel gets resprayed, it shows up on a vehicle history report and your resale price drops. But there is a method German detailing companies have been perfecting for over a century that can remove deep scratches without touching a paint gun. We're talking scratches you can catch with your fingernail, scratches you assumed were permanent. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to do it yourself for under $50 in materials. But first, you need to understand why most people get this completely wrong, and why the fix is actually hidden inside the science of your car's paint itself. Let's start with something most car owners have never been told. Your car's paint isn't one layer, it's four. On the very bottom you have bare metal or aluminum. On top of that sits the primer, a bonding layer that is roughly 25 to 50 microns thick. Then comes the base coat, the actual color of your car, which is only about 10 to 30 microns. And on top of everything is the clear coat, the protective transparent shield that gives your paint its gloss and ultraviolet protection. That clear coat ranges from about 38 to 50 microns on modern vehicles. To put that in perspective, the entire paint job on your car, all four layers combined, is thinner than a single human hair. That is about 100 to 130 microns total on average. BMW's Dingolfing plant in Germany applies 5 separate coats that come out to roughly 120 microns. Porsche's Leipzig factory, one of the most advanced paint facilities in the world, ends up at around 130 microns total across all layers. Now, here is the critical piece. When someone keys your car, when a shopping cart clips your door, when your kid drags a bike handle down the quarter panel, most of the time that scratch lives entirely within the clear coat. It has not touched the color. It has not reached the primer. It looks terrible. It catches light. Your fingernail snags it, and you think the paint is ruined. But it is not. The color is perfectly fine underneath. And that distinction is everything, because if the scratch has not broken through the clear coat into the base color or primer, you can fix it without adding a single drop of new paint. That is the foundation of the German method. So how do you know if your scratch qualifies? Simple test. Run your fingernail across it. If your nail catches slightly but you do not see any white, gray, or a different color underneath the scratch, congratulations! You are only in the clear coat, and this method will work. If you see a dull gray line, that is primer showing through, and you will need touch-up paint before finishing. If you see bare metal, that is body shop territory. But here is what most people do not realize. Roughly 80% of the scratches that make car owners panic are clear coat scratches. They look devastating, but structurally, they are surface level. The German detailing industry figured this out decades ago, and they built an entire system around it. Now, here is where Germany enters the picture. Germany is home to 3 of the most respected detailing product manufacturers on the planet: Menzerna, Sonax, and Koch Chemie. These are not garage brands, slapping labels on generic compounds. Menzerna has been engineering precision polishing compounds in Ottakheim, Germany since 1888. That is over 135 years of formulating abrasives. Sonax has been developing car care products out of Neuburg an der Donau since 1950, and it is the market leader in Germany for automotive care. Koch Chemie is the approved detailing product supplier for Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, Porsche, Jaguar, and McLaren. These are the companies whose products sit on the shelves of the factories that build some of the best cars in the world. Here is something fascinating about German cars. German vehicles like BMWs, Audis, and Mercedes tend to have notoriously hard, clear coats. Detailing professionals across Europe have observed this consistently. One theory is that because it is illegal to wash your car on the street in Germany, you must go to a proper car wash. German manufacturers design clear coats to be more abrasion-resistant because the paint has to survive mechanical wash brushes instead of gentle hand washing. Whether that is the full explanation or not, the result is the same. German clear coats are tough. The German companies that make polishing products had to engineer compounds aggressive enough to cut through that hard lacquer while still finishing to a mirror gloss. That engineering is exactly what makes their scratch removal systems so effective on any car. All right, let's get into the actual method. The German approach to deep scratch removal is a multi-stage process built on 3 principles: controlled abrasion, diminishing abrasive technology, and progressive refinement. Forget the toothpaste hacks. Forget the WD-40 tricks you saw on TikTok. Those might mask a scratch for a few days, but they do not actually fix anything. This method permanently removes the scratch from the clear coat by leveling the surrounding paint down to the bottom of the scratch. Think of it like sanding down a gouge in a piece of wood until the surface is flat and smooth again. Step 1 is preparation. You wash the scratched area thoroughly with car shampoo and water. Every speck of dirt and every particle of road grime has to go. If you start sanding or polishing over contamination, you will grind that debris into the paint and create new scratches while trying to fix the old one. Dry the surface completely with a clean microfiber towel. Then mask off the area around the scratch with painter's tape. This keeps your work focused and prevents you from accidentally dulling the surrounding paint. Professional German detailers will also use a paint thickness gauge at this stage to measure the clear coat depth and confirm there is enough material to safely work with. Most factory cars have 38 to 50 microns of clear coat. You only need to remove about 5 to 15 microns to level out a typical scratch. That leaves plenty of protection. Step 2 is wet sanding, and this is where most people get scared. The word sanding makes people think they are about to destroy their paint. But here is what you need to understand. We are not talking about the sandpaper you would use on a deck. We are talking about ultrafine P2000, P3000, or even P5000 grit automotive wet-dry sandpaper. Sonax's scratch removal kit actually comes with P5000 grit pads, which is incredibly fine. To give you an idea, P5000 grit sandpaper is so smooth that if you ran your finger over it, you would barely feel any texture at all. Soak the sandpaper in water. Keep the surface wet and gently sand the scratch using light, even pressure in short strokes along the length of the scratch. The water acts as a lubricant, washing away sanded residue so the paper does not clog. You are not trying to obliterate the scratch in one pass. You are gradually leveling the edges of the scratch until light stops catching in the groove. After sanding, the area will look hazy and dull. That is completely normal. That matte haze is actually the sign that you have successfully leveled the surface. Before we continue, if you are finding this helpful, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel, and I want to keep bringing you this kind of content. Step 3 is where the German engineering really shines. This is the compound and polish stage, a multi-step process using progressively finer, abrasive polishes. German compound systems, such as Menzerna, 3-stage lineups, use diminishing abrasive technology. The abrasive particles start coarse and gradually break down into finer particles as you polish. A single product can cut aggressively at first to remove the sanding haze, then refine itself into a finishing polish that restores gloss. It is brilliant engineering. Here is how the typical 3-stage system works. You start with a heavy cut compound, something like Menzerna. Heavy cut compound 400, or Koch Kemai H9.02. Apply it to a firm cutting pad on a dual-action polisher. The dual-action polisher is important because it oscillates and rotates at the same time, which distributes heat evenly and makes it virtually impossible to burn through the paint. even for beginners. Work the compound into the sanded area, using overlapping passes at moderate speed and pressure. This stage removes the P2000 or P3000 sanding marks and begins to restore clarity to the clear coat. The heavy cut compound does the hard labor of flattening the micro scratches left by the sandpaper. Next comes the medium cut polish. For example, Menzerna Medium Cut Polish 2500 or Coke Camille M3.02. Switch to a softer polishing pad, reduce pressure slightly, and work this into the same area. This removes the fine haze and micro-marring left behind by the heavy cut stage. The surface starts to look noticeably clearer. You are refining the finish now, not cutting. Finally, use the finishing polish, such as Menzerna Super Finish 3500 or Sonax Perfect Finish. Use the softest pad, the lightest pressure, and slow overlapping passes. This stage eliminates any remaining micro-marring, holograms, or haze, and delivers that deep, wet look gloss that makes paint look like liquid glass. When this step is done correctly, you cannot tell where the scratch was. The surface reflects light uniformly. It looks factory new. Now, a crucial detail that separates the German approach from cheap scratch removal products at the parts store. Most off-the-shelf scratch removers contain fillers, silicone, or wax-based ingredients that temporarily fill the scratch and make it disappear. It looks great for about a week, then the filler washes out and the scratch returns. Menzerna, Coke Camille, and Sonax professional compounds are silicone-free and filler-free. They provide permanent correction by actually removing material and leveling the surface. No optical illusions, no temporary fixes. The scratch is gone because it has been physically removed from the clear coat. Step 4 is protection. After you have compounded and polished the area to perfection, you need to seal it. The clear coat you just worked on is now clean, fresh, and exposed. A quality wax, paint sealant, or ceramic coating goes on top to protect the corrected area from UV damage, chemical etching, and future micro scratches. A synthetic spray sealant can last up to 6 months. A proper ceramic coating can last years and adds roughly 1 to 2 microns of additional hardness on top of the clear coat. Some detailers also recommend paint protection film over high-risk areas, which actually self-heals minor scuffs under heat. So you do not have to go through this whole process again. Let me give you the cost breakdown because this is where it gets really compelling. A Sonax scratch remover, set with P5000 sanding pads, polishing compound, and finishing polish runs about $15 to $25. If you want to go the full professional route with a Menzerna 3-stage compound kit and a decent dual-action polisher, you are looking at $150 to $250 total for the polisher and products. Compare that to a body shop panel respray at $400 to $1,000, or a full professional paint correction service that can run $300 to over $1,000 depending on severity. And remember, the polisher and compounds can be used on your entire car multiple times for years. The body shop charges you every single time. Those are real savings over time. But I do want to be honest about the limitations. This method works phenomenally on clear coat scratches, which again is the vast majority of what you'll encounter in daily life. Parking lot dings, key scratches, shopping cart scuffs, and fingernail marks around door handles. If the scratch has gone through the clear coat and exposed the base color or primer, you can still dramatically improve it using the sanding and polishing steps, but you'll need to apply color match touch-up paint first, then clear coat over it, let it cure, and then wet sand and polish to blend it in. The result won't be as invisible as a pure clear coat repair, but it can get remarkably close. If the scratch has hit bare metal, you're dealing with a potential corrosion issue, and a professional body shop is the right call. One more thing modern car owners need to know. Paint on new cars is getting thinner. In 2002, the average vehicle had about 55 microns of clear coat. By 2022, that number had dropped to around 44 microns. That is a 20% reduction in clear coat thickness over just 2 decades. Some manufacturers like Ford and GM have even thinner levels. This means you have less margin for error when correcting paint. The German approach of using paint thickness gauges and progressive, minimal aggression polishing becomes even more important on modern vehicles. You want to remove the scratch with the least amount of clear coat sacrifice possible. German detailing philosophy is built entirely around this idea of preservation. Use the minimum aggression necessary to achieve the result, so you leave the maximum clear coat intact for the life of the vehicle. And that right there is the real genius of the German method. It is not a hack. It is not a shortcut. It is a precise, systematic approach to paint correction that has been refined by companies with over a century of experience in abrasive engineering. It treats your car's paint as a finite resource, corrects defects permanently without fillers or gimmicks, and leaves the surface looking better than it did the day the car rolled off the lot. A body shop would strip and respray your panel, destroying your factory paint in the process. The German method preserves it. That's it for today. If you found this valuable, smash that like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Drop a comment below if you have ever tried wet sanding. I want to hear how it went. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.